What is up, my Tickle Me crew? This is Chad here, and today I'm bringing you guys another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. So today's battle is against Shadow. He's a guy from my Twitch. I'm not sure if he's a YouTube subscriber or not, but he's bringing a really interesting team. He's bringing the Stoutland, Gourgeist, Chatot, Charizard, Azumarill, and the Klefki, while I'm bringing the Flygon, Yanmega, Sylveon, Mega Banette, Azumarill, and the Magneton. Now, this is actually our second battle together because it was funny. He actually forgot one of his Pokemon the first battle. So as you guys can see, he did decide to bring all 6 Pokemon this time. And since this is our rematch, we kind of know what each other's team does. And so that should make things more interesting. So I hope you guys will enjoy the show. So the battle begins, and Shadow decides to lead off with his Klefki as I lead off with my Flygon. Now, I decided to lead off with Flygon because in our previous battle, he did reveal that his Klefki does carry the Thunder Wave, and since Flygon is part ground type, I do have an immunity to all electric type attacks. So this first turn, I made a terrible misplay here as my opponent sets up the Reflect. For whatever reason, I decided that with the Reflect up, and since most Klefki are running like max HP, max defense, that a super effective Flamethrower would do more damage than a super effective Earthquake. However, I was sadly mistaken, as you guys will soon see on the following turn. My opponent sets up dual screens as I do finally decide to go for the Earthquake, and clearly, had I gone for 2 Earthquakes rather than the Flamethrower Earthquake combination, this Klefki would be done, but unfortunately I didn't, so now this Klefki will stick around to bother me another day. So I'm just going to switch out here, not wanting to take the predicted foul play with my Flygon. That would just not be really pretty. So I'm going to go into my defensive wall, my Sylveon, to eat up this foul play like it's nothing. My leftovers are going to activate and heal off all of the damage that this foul play did, as I just go for the Protect here to scout out what this Klefki wants to do, or if he decides just to switch out. So my opponent decides just to go for the Thunder Wave, so I figured he probably would predict me to not go for the Protect again, because getting 2 Protects in a row like that would be really lucky. So I predicted him to go for a second Thunder Wave, so I decided I'm going to switch out into my Flygon, who is immune to the Thunder Wave. So right here, my opponent decides to switch out, fearing the Earthquake. He doesn't quite want to lose his Klefki just yet. So he's going to bring out his Azumarill to eat up the Earthquake, and it's interesting, I actually nicknamed my Azumarill Easter as well, which you guys will see later in the battle. So I'm obviously going to have to switch out here because I do not want my Flygon taking an Aqua Jet or a Play Rough from this Azumarill, so I decide I'm going to switch out into my Magneton, who resists both Azumarill stabs. So my opponent makes a great prediction here, predicting me to switch out and goes for the Play Rough, but my Magneton takes this like a boss and retaliates with a Thunderbolt. Now, I don't really understand why he didn't switch out right there. He could have definitely used Azumarill for later. But because my opponent still has his light screen up, my Thunderbolt will actually not be able to get the KO. His Citrus Berry activates, telling me that this is in fact a Belly Drum Azumarill, so the good news is that his HP is too low now for him to set up a Belly Drum and destroy my team. So my opponent does decide to go for the Superpower here, which surprises me because I actually live. I did not expect Magneton to take that hit, but I actually end up living with like 2 HP. And I tried to go for the Thunderbolt here, but he's actually just going to take me out with an Aqua Jet. Realistically, there was no real reason for me to switch out with my Magneton because it was at such low HP, and he's so slow, I wouldn't have gotten a hit off on anything else anyway. So I just decided to bring back in my Sylveon and revenge kill the Azumarill with a Hyper Voice. My opponent decides to bring in the Klefki on my Sylveon, but I decide to switch out to my Banette. Now, my thought process here was that I really need to Mega Evolve my Banette so that I could utilize its Prankster ability later in the battle, because what I was planning to do was Prankster Destiny Bond his Charizard to get that thing out of the way, because that thing is a huge threat. But when you Mega Evolve, it actually takes 1 turn for your new ability to take effect, so I really need to waste this 1 turn now that I have a chance. So I'm actually going to Mega Evolve and go for the Shadow Sneak as my opponent decides to set up one last-ditch effort Reflect before his Klefki kicks the bucket. So now that my opponent's Klefki is out of the way, he will no longer be able to reset his screens after they're gone. So that works out really great in my favor because my team can't set up screens and now his team can no longer set up screens, so now we're fighting on much more even ground. My opponent decides to bring out his Stoutland, whose Intimidate is going to activate, lowering my attack stat. So I'm going to make a really risky play here. I'm actually going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. And thank Arceus I did not miss. Had I missed that Will-O-Wisp, I would have been in a terrible situation. So my opponent's going to go for the Crunch, and it actually scores a crit on me. I'm so surprised that crit didn't kill me. So right here, my opponent makes a great prediction. He predicts me to switch out, and he also decides to switch out. So I'm going to switch back into my Sylveon as he decides to switch out into his Chatot. And though his Chatot might not look like much, this thing is scary. He's actually going to set up the nasty plot, doubling his special attack stat while I just go for the Hyper Voice just to get damage on this thing. I don't even do as much damage as I thought I would. And then, as if to make things worse for myself, I make a series of misplays. On the following turn, I went for Protect when I should have gone for the Hyper Voice. I mean, he's sitting at +2 special attack. I should be getting as much damage as possible on this thing. Then, the unthinkable happens. On the following turn, I accidentally misclick again, and I clicked on Protect when I should have yet again gone for the Hyper Voice, which probably could have taken out the Chatot. To make matters worse, the second Protect fails, of course, and then he hits me with a super powerful +2 Boom Burst. And then on the following turn, I do go for the Hyper Voice, but he outspeeds me and takes out my Sylveon with a Chatter. So right here, I bring in my own Azumarill, and I go straight for the Aqua Jet, praying that it will take out this Chatot from the range it's at, but of course not, because his Reflect is up. So it doesn't take out the Chatot, so now he's going to hit my Azumarill with another super powerful +2 Boom Burst, and it damn near takes out my Azumarill. So thankfully, as you guys can see, his screens are finally gone. His Klefki is dead, so now he cannot reset his screens back up, so they are gone for the duration of the match. So he's going to bring out his Gourgeist. Now, right here, I just go for the Aqua Jet. I was aiming for the Chatot, but obviously he switched out. And right here, I make another really stupid play. I underestimate Gourgeist's speed, and I think I'm going to outspeed, so I go for the knockoff as he decides to go for the Seed Bomb, and he outspeeds me, and that is going to take out my Azumarill. So down goes my Azumarill, and I'm running out of Pokemon at this point. I believe I have like 3 Pokemon left, and 1 or 2 of them are injured pretty badly at this point in the battle. So he's going to get some leftovers recovery, recovering off that pathetic, minuscule amount of damage that I did with my Aqua Jet earlier. So I'm going to bring in my Yanmega, which I've nicknamed Hipster because he was Mega before it was cool. So Yanmega actually surprises me here, and it actually takes out this Gourgeist with 1 Air Slash. Keep in mind, I am not Life Orbed. I was not expecting that. Gourgeist is a fairly bulky Pokemon. So now my Speed Boost is going to activate, raising my speed up 1 stage as he brings in his Charizard. Now obviously this is going to be a Mega Charizard, and it turns out to be a Mega Charizard Y. So he's going to Mega Evolve, and I'm actually going to outspeed because of my Speed Boost. And right here, I was wishing so much that I was Life Orbed, because had I been Life Orbed, I would have been able to take out this Charizard in 1 hit. So I'm going to go for the Ancient Power here, and unfortunately, since I'm not Life Orbed, as I said, it's not going to take out this Charizard in 1 hit. It gets so close, oh my god. So he's going to overkill me with this Flamethrower. Down goes my Yanmega, so now I decide I'm just going to go into Mega Banette thinking that I would be able to take out this Charizard with a Stab Shadow Sneak and not have to go for the Destiny Bond. But he actually decides to switch out into his Stoutland. His Intimidate's going to activate, lowering my attack stat, and because he's a normal type, my Shadow Sneak will not be able to affect him since it's a Ghost type move. So I'm obviously going to have to switch here because my Mega Banette can absolutely do nothing to this Stoutland. My only other Pokemon at this point was my Flygon. So I decide to switch into the Flygon as he goes for the Crunch. Flygon takes the Crunch like a boss, but he gets the defense drop. So he's dropping D's, and I just go for the Earthquake to take out the Stoutland. So now that Stoutland is finally out of the way, Shadow's last 2 Pokemon are his Chatot and his Charizard. So he decides to bring out his Chatot first, which thankfully my Flygon is fast enough and is able to outspeed and kill this stupid ass annoying little bird with a Dragon Claw. So Shadow's last Pokemon is his Charizard, and unfortunately Mega Charizard is really fast and it is able to outspeed and take out my Flygon with a not very effective Flamethrower, but it was in the sun so it got the sun boost. So now it has come down to the wire. Both of us are at our last Pokemon each. My last Pokemon is Mega Banette, and obviously his last Pokemon is the Mega Charizard Y. So as long as I can kill him with my priority Shadow Sneak, I have the game locked up. So thankfully for me, I am able to kill off the Charizard with the Shadow Sneak and seal the game up in my favor. Thank you guys so much for watching this battle. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, favorite, subscribe if you did. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and I will see you guys in the next video. Toodles.